Alright guys, you got your boy Stingren here today, and today we're back with some reverse 1999 content, and today we will be updating the tier list for patch 2.3. We're updating the tier list because it is now time for patch 2.3 to finally drop. We will be including the new Euphoria units, so if you guys don't know, the new Euphoria units will be dropping on patch 2.3. We already talked about them in the previous video, and I kind of gave you like a from best to worst of what you should invest in. Now of course obviously we're going to be ranking those Euphoria units in terms of our own tier list that we have here today. This is the one that's made by me, so let's get right into it. So before I get into the tier list, as always, I say the same thing every single video: is please do not cause any fights, any drama, or any sort of negative interactions with anyone in this comment section. I don't want any sort of negative traction. It's okay to disagree, it's okay to state why you feel a unit is in a different position, but please do not attack or harass people. That's really just the whole thing. I want to keep it at least a conversational type of comment section at the least. You know what I mean? Share your thoughts, share your opinions, of course, but just don't say, hey, you're stupid, because clearly this unit is S plus tier. You know what I mean? I just that doesn't sit well with me. Of course, as always, me being a content creator, I have to tell you guys this, but please do not feel like you have to listen to my tier list. This is just me clearly stating my opinions of what I feel is the better units based off of based on what I see in, you know, conversation, my own personal use, talking with other players in the community. This is basically how I feel, right? That's how I feel. However, that does not necessarily mean that you guys should follow it to the T. If I say XYZ is S plus tier, that does not mean that you have to change your pull plans to pull for XYZ. But anyway, I've talked on long enough. Let's get right into it with the tier list. So first things first, let's go and talk about our current tier list. In S plus tier, we have Willow, Windsong, Lucy, Kakania, Andronala, and Lapera. And spoiler alert, I did not get Lapera, so that's why I really haven't been uploading anything, because I didn't really get anything for her. You know, my channel really focuses on the units. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to get Lapera, which is a little sad. But hey, it is what it is. Maybe when I get her off the 2.5, when she comes back into the standard pool in 2.5, I mean, it is what it is. This is my first time ever really missing a character since starting the game in patch 1.0, which is kind of crazy. Actually, no, I take that back. Millennia was my first time. I skipped her deliberately, but Lapera is my first time that I had to let skip. So it is what it is. I'm okay with it. Eventually, I'll get her at some point in time. As per tier, we have Isolde, Tufre, Junianza, 6, Marcus, Yensei, Spahothea, Mercuria, Tuesday, and Argus. In A tier, we have Necro, Anali, Jay, Jutien, Ezra, Melania, Semmelweis, Sonato, Jessica, Kalabana, 37, Bicorn, Charlie, Medicine Pocket, A Knight, Druvis, August, Lorelei, Barbara, and Desert Flannel. And of course, from everyone, we have all the other units at the lower tiers as well, B, C, and of course, but why though? This is more so meme, but why? But anyway, as always, before we get into ranking the new units, which is going to be Willow and Flutter Page, of course, the 2.3 Euphoria units as well. We are going to start with some drops and some increases based on what's going to be happening within 2.3. So anyway, let's get started. So any drops, honestly, there's not really too many units I really want to drop this time. I think the only unit that I dropped down is probably Flannel. I just think that she performs better as a decent option, not as a good option. That's just really just it. I think she's okay. I mean, it's not like she was great when she first came out for like the lower invested people, but now that we've obviously gotten many good options now, she was great for beast teams in general. I think now we can kind of comfortably say that Flannel is definitely a B tier unit, but that is perfectly fine. In terms of increases though, I want to put Jay in S tier. And this is really because he's going to get a lot better going in patch 2.3. I'm sure a lot of you who are kind of veterans to the game know exactly why Jay is considered to be a much better unit than where he was and when he released in patch 2.0. And if you guys don't know, it's because he's going to be getting a new partner who is going to make his shields absolutely bonkers. To put this in retrospect, Jay's shields were already pretty hard to crack if you ultimately set him up well. This is of course with him having at low HP, having another sustain like Akania, which of course helps protect his HP, having having potential options to maybe boost up the shield strength by giving him more attack, but that's of course optional. Not really too many units give us attack flat out, so not really too many options there. But the whole thing is that Jay's shields, and you can even see this on a video that I did when I took on Darkness of the Abyss, which is kind of more of a harder hitting raid. He tanked a lot of the attacks fairly well. Like, even in this is coming from a stage where he was not going to be, he wasn't really considered to be useful in, but he was doing very well when it came to doing Darkness of the Abyss. He did very good in protecting, sustaining the team, and of course Kakania kept herself healed because she was taking the bulk of the damage, because obviously that's how her passive works. And of course we have Tuesday to just spread poison everywhere, and it was just a lot of fun. But now with this new unit that's going to be coming, well, not necessarily a new unit, I shouldn't say, more so an older unit that's going to be coming with their Euphoria, it's going to make him even better at sustaining his shields, because he's going to effectively get two extra instances of increasing his shield strength because of what this new unit does. This one new unit obviously further increases the cap of all shields, and based on certain conditions, which he meets perfectly, they're going to be able to increase the shields even more. So again, with a boss already as hard hitting like Gorgon, having a hard time, especially at the higher tiers, now it's going to have more of a harder time because you have another applicable shield. Come on, man. Come on. So I figured, yeah, he's going to be S tier. He's going to be really good for Reveries too. If you guys haven't seen any gameplay with Jay, he's really good in Reveries actually, because of just what I explained. So that's really just that. Let's go ahead and let's start talking about the new units first before we jump over to the Euphorias. So Willow, I'm actually going to be putting in S tier. I think she is perfectly fine here. She would near be S plus tier. It's just a really big restriction that she needs Tuesday, right? Now, the same thing what I said about Jay, right? Jay was still at least usable before this unit came with her Euphoria and made him much better. Willow without Tuesday is just it's bad. It's very bad. Like, Tuesday is the cornerstone of poison teams, right? So Willow not having that cornerstone, it's GG's. Like, before, my big thing is, before, most units can perform at least some optimally even without their best supports. Like, looking at the top DPSs here, such as Winsong, Lucy, and Anjo, for example, as DPSs, they can perform without their best slot. For example, you don't have to run Vila in Winsong teams. While it's way beneficial to do so, it's not like you have to run Vila. There's options, there's other alternatives. Lucy, same thing. There's other alternatives that can make them at least perform decently well. Without Tuesday for Willow, it's GG's. It's pretty bad. But if you have Willow with if you have Tuesday with Willow, then it becomes much better. She performs very well with Tuesday because of all the poison that you can stack. Remember, Tuesday also gives her the extra benefit of being able to crit poison, so that's already a huge loss of damage because Willow's not going to be able to crit poison. She's going to have difficulty in spreading poison. Well, she's not really going to have a difficult time. It's just going to be slower. But the bigger things that she provides, that Tuesday's giving, she won't have. So that's why I don't feel comfortable putting her in S plus tier, because of the huge restriction that she needs Tuesday. If you had Tuesday, honestly, she could potentially even be an S plus tier unit depending on how well you pivot her, because her damage potential is actually very high. It's very high if you can get out the right amount of situations with her. And if you have the Sotheby exclusive cube from her antidote, which is called her Mournful Face, then the damage becomes even stronger, because I think the antidote cube gives you a max of 40% poison, and this is effectively Willow's best in slot. I didn't do her antidote, by the way, please kill me. But if you don't have this antidote, of course you can still use your own cube, which is still fine, but Sotheby's antidote really helps push that narrative for her to just hit some insane numbers because of the poison damage, and of course the extra effects coming off Hag's Bane and all that stuff. So that's why I do think she's just a comfortable S tier unit, and that's really just it. Alright, Flutter Page. Flutter Page is going to be another unit I consider to be a S tier unit as well. Again, really good follow-up support. She's also the first unit to give us a continuous action, which is +1 AP. If you've kind of used Willow, you know she has that versatile skill that doesn't take any AP use. It just kind of makes it look like you have 5 skills when you don't. Well, she effectively gives you 5 skills, which is really cool. So the cool thing is that if you wanted to chain, of course you have to use the skill every single turn, which is a little bit annoying because it's effectively a net negative, but you can of course use it once and then the next turn just use 5 skills wherever you want and then rinse repeat if you'd like to do it that way. That's really cool. She also has a really strong follow-up, especially if you can scale it up properly. I think her P1 is pretty massive because it gives her an extra turn of the extra AP, which is, again, it sets it up. It sets it up for just more utilization, more comfortable use of your team. But of course, I do think she's still perfectly fine at P0. But again, I feel like Flutter Page kind of positions herself to be the new 37 in a way, where she always really wanted to fit in with specific style teams. Obviously, follow-up was 37's best calling, and whenever there was a follow-up unit, since we had so many of them, 37 was always a valuable option for those teams. Flutter Page is pretty much in the same vein, where follow-up teams she wants to be a part of, general DPS teams she wants to be a part of. She is pretty much comfortable to be put in every single team because of how well she functions amongst every unit, and of course the extra utility she provides to the team. So she is pretty good. She provides a lot to the team. She provides extra AP, which is again very valuable for setting up key turns. And yeah, so I don't really have anything negative to say about Flutter Page, honestly. I think she's very good. She's I don't want to say must pull though. I think must pull will validate me putting her in S+ tier. She's just a very worth pull. Very worth is where I'd say. Very worth it pull for me, honestly. I think this is definitely a unit of all else. If I have to choose between one, I'd probably say Flutter more so over Willow. But if you have the pieces for Willow, then by all means. But yeah. So let's start with the Euphoria units now. So let's go ahead and let's look over and let's find those Euphoria units. We have a few of them really just hanging on that B tier, but we're going to go from highest to lowest and see if they're going to be validated moving up or down. Bicorn, I think Bicorn could stay comfortably at A. She's still primarily a good reality support, and she still does deal some sub damage. There is some pretty cool teams where you can actually utilize her damage potential, which with like Juvis or for example. So there's that. Juvis is also right here, and I do think she stays comfortably at A tier as well. More so just because plant teams, I mean, that's really the only option she has is plant teams. So yeah. Let me see. Anyone in B tier that's getting Shemaine. Honestly, I don't think I'm moving Shemaine. I thought about maybe putting him into good, but nah. It's just so much of what he wants to do. It's just a jumbled mess for me, and I'm not the biggest fan of Shemaine's Euphoria. Honestly, I think it's pretty lackluster. I think there could have been more done to him. So yeah. All right, Sotheby, we're jumping her straight to S tier. Again, I've talked about Sothyby's Euphoria pretty extensively. If you haven't watched the video, again, check it out. But Sotheby, what makes Sotheby's Euphoria very good is not only is she best in slot for poison, she becomes a pretty good in general healer as well, which means she has comfortable use in other styles of teams. So that means you can run Sotheby in other types of teams as opposed to just running her in poison. So for example, you don't have a healer yet, right? You're like, oh man, I don't have Two Fairy. Oh man, I don't have XYZ. Oh man, I don't have Yensei and all these units. You can use Sotheby. Sotheby's perfectly fine because she can stack cures. She auto triggers her cure when you fall below a set amount of HP, and her healing has been boosted to perform at least decently. And of course, if you really wanted to focus her on a healing role, you can always give her that Inquisitive Deer, which of course comes with a healing boost on the card, so you can get about 20% of healing boost up, which is really good. That's really good. So she can really help you in terms of survival. But if you want to use her for her best performance, it's going to be in poison because she's going to provide poison damage plus 2%. I think it's for herself only, but of course it's going to be really good when you're popping your ult. So that is that. Next up is Babel. Well, you already know where I'm about to put her. S tier. She's, Yeah, S tier. I mean, we're handing out S tiers today, baby. We're handing them out. We're handing them out like hotcakes. But very very good Euphoria, as I said before. I explained it again, same video. But Babbel's Euphoria is fantastic. It is the perfect thing that I would want to see in Euphoria. This is a video I wanted to make talking about the Euphoria system and what I think about the buffs altogether, or not necessarily the buffs, but the system itself and how I feel about how they give the buffs to the units. But what I would love to see the most out of Euphorias is generally making the unit better at their preferred role. You know, Babel was a great shielder on the time of her release. Of course, shielding was kind of but now it's gotten better because there's better units that occupy the space. Obviously, Jay being one of the best options. But now that she's such a great pivot for these units, she also provides for pulse boost, which is something we have not seen yet. You know, these things that really make her a great addition to the shielder space. Well, more so re-entering the shielder space, because not a lot of people were considering Babel. You can consider her more so for like UTTU, like early UTTU. She was a really good cheese for those, but now she has great placements. And again, in Reveries, J Babel is going to be a crazy team you can run to high levels of success as long as you can pilot it correctly. So very good, very good Euphoria, very good upgrades, easily deserving of S tier. All right, next up you have Lilia again. I think honestly, if you go with the path, the Roaring Path, which is her first one, then it's S tier. But if you go Kimchaka Hunt, then I'd say it's A tier. Kimchaka Hunt isn't good in my honest opinion. There is good utilization for her, like if you want to run Merc or something, because Merc also provides incantation, might boost, of course always providing a crit rate, crit damage, and all that stuff, and damage dealt up. But Lilia's ultimate path does turn her into a really good single target burster, all things considered, because remember, she gets a stack of 30% of ultimate might boost every time she crits. So every time she crits off of her attack, she's gonna get an extra stack, or it just gets like 2 stacks of Ceremonious, which is the effect that gives her ultimate might up. And every single time she procs a follow-up, she's going to get that Ceremonious effect to boost her ultimate might, which is gonna make her ultimate might hit really hard. And the fact that she already has a 700% modifier on base with a potential boost as far as you want it to go, to really just deal a dumb level of boost if you really wanted to. Of course, that's going to be effectively a DPS loss, because you kind of want to be using her ult just to really hit as hard as you can within the time limit. But in certain stages where you can probably BS it and then just go for one strong nuke, like in Reveries, for example, because I think the turn limit is 99 in Reveries. You can really just BS it and you just go, all right, bet turn 48, I have like 48 stacks of Ceremonious, yeah, we're gonna go to town. Then you just go for a really strong ultimate and just blow something up. Yeah, I mean, the possibility is there. There's so much possibility to be there, and it's also not as intrusive as the Windsong style. A lot of people know the one minor gripe with Windsong, despite her damage potential being absolutely insane, absolutely uncapped when it comes to single target, is how much of a strain it gets to be to stack consistently, because you start losing out on buffs, which of course Windsong does still favor, because that obviously increases her damage. You increase potential to heal. Now of course, obviously when you're doing the long strat, bosses aren't hitting you hard enough to where you have to worry about it. And of course, with the tuning that automatically generates 2 of the character's cards, you can still get away with it, but it still gets to be a little bit strained. Lilia doesn't have that strain at all, because you're just basically waiting to stack your ult. That's it. You're just stacking your ult. And that just comes off of her using her action. So a little bit more fair play, a little bit more easier to maneuver around. So very good. So again, honestly think this is a very good upgrade. Honestly think this is a very much worth upgrade. And yeah. All right, next character, and I think this might be our final one. Let me check the list. So we said Bicorn was going to be good where she's at. Semaine is good where that. We moved 4, 5, and 6, and then we have Eternity, where I'm going to move her up to A tier. Eternity, again, very good Euphoria. Going to be very good for units who like to be at low HP. Yeah, any units that love to be a low HP to be a potential DPS. Semmelweis, of course, is going to be a really good combination with her as well to help accelerate HP going low. And yeah, She also provides a lot of damage, a lot of crit rate, a lot of crit damage, excess crit rate into critical damage conversion, and she also provides extra HP boost, which is technically a good boost for Kikania because there isn't really any units that provide HP boost, so that's also a really good thing as well. So yeah, I think that's actually really good. I think her Euphoria is perfectly fine. It's a little bit more risky to use because obviously you're favoring a low HP team, but again, it really just depends on the type of low HP team that you have. So again, ultimately speaking, it's perfectly fine. But let me again take one final list to make sure I haven't missed anyone. So let me see, anyone in A tier? No. Yep, I think that's everyone. So yeah, that is going to be our tier list. So yeah, this is a lot of upgrades and a lot of S tiers this time around. 5 whole S tiers we got from this patch, and then we got a couple new A tiers with her with Eternity. So yeah, I mean, I think that's perfectly fine. I think this is where we're gonna keep our tier list for now. And as always, I hope you guys did enjoy the video. I'll try to keep it a little bit shorter this time. I hope that you guys were able to understand. I did talk a little bit faster because I'm trying to cut these videos down a little bit. I don't want to make like a whole hour-long video, and I had so many units to rate. It was going to be a little bit difficult, but again, bear with me as I try new things and I experiment with new formats and speaking. So anyway, it's been your boy Stingren. Let me know what you guys think about the tier list in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.